we're going to trim up a beef tenderloin. This is an untrimmed tenderloin from the store, and I'm going to trim it down into a Chateaubriand for Beef Wellington. Everything I learned, or everything I know, I learned from Alton Brown, which is not to say it's everything that he knows. So people told me that I don't talk enough when I do this, so I'm going to try to talk a little bit more. All right. Let's angle this down so you can see the beef. All right, a little bit more. That's good. Sorry you get to see my gut, but whatever. All right, and this is for Christmas, so we'll have a little Christmas music. Alexa, resume. Okay, got my butcher knife, got my beef tenderloin. I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. Nice little background music. So what we're gonna do is there's this piece here called the chain. We take that off. We're gonna take this head roast off and trim up some of this stuff and get off like the silver skin and fat and stuff. And pretty much just about everything you're supposed to take off, you can just pull off. I do have a nice sharp knife, and we will definitely use that. But a lot of this, and this one's coming apart quite nicely, you just kind of pull off. Oh. This is the chain, and Alton Brown says take this and chop it up and use cheesesteaks. We have done that, and man, those are good cheesesteaks. Okay, we got that off. We still have a little bit of this left. Usually it doesn't come apart like that, but this is stuck on there pretty good. Try to keep in there. Separate that off. I can see all this connective tissue and stuff. That's the stuff you don't want in your beef Wellington, right? And we get this all off, you're gonna see what a lovely little piece of meat that is underneath, right? We got these big pockets of fat. Get those off. Try to pull off the head roast here. You can see there's a called the silver skin under there. It's a little connective tissue. Some more fat. And you get under that connective tissue and you're able to just pull stuff right off. And that came off pretty nicely. Alright. And that is this is the head roast. It is not a bad little roast. Trim that up. We're not gonna throw it away, but we're not gonna have it in our beef Wellington either. Alright, we'll trim that down later. Make a nice little roast out of it. Okay, so most of the chain is actually, well, there's a little bit left. We'll trim that up as we go. Next we want to trim this stuff off. It's not bad, it's just kind of fatty and not quite as just lovely as the beef tenderloin is and tender. It has some fat in it, and fat is flavor. So we want to be careful about how much we take off. You're gonna see, like, well, you'll see. You know, once we kind of get under this, the Chateaubriand part is this really lovely, pretty kind of meat. But you gotta get past all the icky stuff first. All right. See how nice that is? And then this is the silver skin. That's a bit of a pain to get off. Some more fat over here we're gonna pull off. Just a little bit of fat off here. Some fat here. So I think it kind of came apart strangely. So I think this is still chain. Not the best eats. So that's chain. That's that side muscle. It's not bad. You can see it's a little, the structure is a little more coarse. and it makes lovely cheesesteaks. It's a lovely little cut, but it's not quite as tender and buttery as the main muscle there. You can take our knife and just trim off some of this fat. Okay. Peel that off. There's a little bit of like, you have some choice here trimming this off about how much to trim off, because it's a little rough, not quite as smooth and tender, but still tasty, good meat. So how much of that do you want to trim off to make it pretty, losing that bit of meat? Okay, so now we are to the silver skin. And we're just gonna go, like, anytime I see some fat, I'll pick that off. So what we're trying to do is kind of peel this off without taking too much of the meat with it. Try to get your knife into there. A good sharp knife helps. Pull that off a little bit. All right. Take off this connective tissue and leave as much of the meat as you can. Ideally, like next to nothing. If you do it right, you won't really take any off. Going this way seems to be harder. Just get under there with your knife, trim that off. It's a little bit of fat. Make sure I get under that. On this, I've tilted a little bit toward that silver skin so it kind of runs across it. So you don't take off any of the meat as you take off the silver skin. There. Trim that off. So it's a fair amount of work. So why do it? The butcher will be happy to do this for you. And I'm not sure what they'll charge you. If it's they do more per pound, or if they charge you for the whole thing and then trim it off. It should be a little cheaper to do this way, because you are buying all this stuff, which is not tenderloin. But you get to keep it and do other stuff with it. Of course, we have a ton of this stuff, and we're not very good about getting it used up. So I have already made one of these this year. Didn't make one this summer. Sometimes we'll make one at the beach. Did not make one this summer. I had some friends over a couple weeks ago, made one for them. And I'm actually making 2 of these for Christmas. One's already trimmed up. That was kind of my rehearsal before I start recording this. Right. Make sure I can do it pretty cleanly. Get it there. There. And you may have noticed the music in the background. That is John Denver and the Muppets' Very Special Christmas. Why on earth am I listening to that? Well, this is the Christmas tenderloin. And I started listening to that album when I was a kid, and it was really age appropriate. And my mother really liked it, or I think we really enjoyed it. And so somehow it kind of became a tradition. And then me and my brother hit our teenage years, and I think she played it to torture us. but that really perversely kind of established the tradition of listening to it. And now it's kind of, it's almost not Christmas without it. Okay, so this actually does not look too bad. There's a little bit of fat here and there. Mostly I'm concerned with the connective tissue, not so much the fat and the rougher portions of meat. This fat is flavor. This is, I'm not really sure about if I want to try to take that off or not. I think I'm going to leave that. All right, look at that. It's a beautiful piece of meat. And that is trimming the beef Wellington. What are we going to do after this? Okay, what we're going to do is, now that we've got this all trimmed, we want to wrap it up and get ready to sous vide it, because that is the way that I cook these things. So we're going to take our scale here, turn on our scale, it'll turn on. Set it to kilograms. And we have 1,500 grams. And just for funsies, that is 3 pounds, 4 ounces. Why do we care how much it weighs? Okay. So this is December 20th. It's not going to get cooked until probably the 25th. And so what we're going to do is we're going to brine it for a couple of days. And because we're going to brine it for we're going to do something called equilibrium brining, which is, oops, it's a little more false. Get suspense for a second. Take out my plastic wrap, which should be here. So equilibrium brining means you put in exactly the amount of salt that you want. And let it brine for a long time, and it will hopefully reach an equilibrium with the meat. Right? So we have a 1,500 gram tenderloin. We want 1% salt. So we take our bowl, and this is the beautiful thing about metric. We take, what's 1% of 1,500? It's 15. Easy, easy math. What's 1% of 3 pounds, 4 ounces? I have no idea. So we want 15 grams. If we're doing this for turkey, you kind of got to take into account the bones. Since this doesn't have bones, and so a turkey, I'll do like 2% of the body weight, of the total weight of the turkey, to account for like half the weight being bones, which is probably an overestimate. But since this has no bones, you can just put in, I'm using 1% of the weight of the beef and salt. This actually seems a little heavy to me. Well, we may skimp a little bit because we're also going to use some bacon. And the bacon has salt in it too. And I don't want to over salt it. So it's actually a pretty nice coating of salt. throw in a couple of grams. And then I'm going to take my bacon. This bacon is flavor. Who doesn't love bacon? And here they are, but they are not invited to Christmas dinner. I used to like wrap it around. It actually was too bacony. I know, it's hard to believe too bacony, but there you have it. And then I kind of want to try to fold these tips in. Try to make an even size. Okay. So now we want a brine, right? So we did some experimenting. Do two things before I move on to the next step. So we did some experimenting and we found, like, you may have seen my rant on brining turkeys. If you read that, you may realize that there are some challenges with brining. The trend for turkeys has started to be dry brining, which is you would just put salt on it and wrap it up, and the salt would draw out the moisture, dissolve this. That moisture would then dissolve the salt, and then the idea is it would reabsorb into the meat, and that would make it just the right amount of saltiness within without making it quote-unquote soggy or mushy. I did some experiments, and what I found was that it gets kind of a cured texture to it. I think the kanji from Food Lab kind of figured that out, pointed it out, and they were talking about it in the context of steaks, that if you sous vide'd your meat with salt and then let it sit in the fridge, it ended up being like pastrami. And 1 second. So basically pulled out too much moisture, and I could see that when I did this before, especially when you sous vide it, it heats up, increases the action, all that kind of stuff going on. And I took a piece of a lovely piece of beef tenderloin and put a bunch of salt on it and sous vide'd it, and it came out like pastrami. Very good pastrami, but probably not the best use for a beef tenderloin. So what I'm going to do is put back in the amount of water that I want the meat to have in it, and I want it to be about 5% water. So I'm taking 5% of 1,500 grams, which is 75 grams, in the form of ice cubes, and I'm going to stick them along the sides of this beef. So why ice cubes? To keep it cold? Not really. It's going to be in the fridge. It's going to be in the cooler. 75 grams of ice cubes is not going to keep this cold. But I need to vacuum seal it. And if you try to vacuum seal something that has water in it, the vacuum sucks the water up into the mechanism and into the plastic, and it doesn't seal. It doesn't seal very well. So, we're using ice cubes, and this is the first time I've done this. Using ice cubes, the water is solid, it doesn't go anywhere. You seal it up, let it melt, and then you have your brine. Good seal. Alright, so if I were really frugal, I would measure this. Maybe I will. Alright. So this is 14 inches, and I want at least 3 more inches. I'm gonna go 4 and do 18 inches of bag. So 18 inches of bag. See that one in.
He liked living in the woods. He liked icicles and snow. He liked wolves and eagles and grizzly bears and critters and creatures that crawl. Why, bugs were some of his very best friends. Spiders and ants.
Also, the plastic wrap kind of not only keeps everything together, but it keeps the moisture out of the opening of the bag, which is still a trick. Try to get this in here without much moisture. Plastic on plastic is a bit of a challenge. Okay, good, my ice cubes got out, that's all right. So that's the package. We're gonna seal it up. It's pretty dry.
Or know how to love, or know how to give. Christmas prayers this year, Alfie asked me if I'd ask you, say a prayer for the wind and the water and the wood and those who live.
Okay, we got a little bit of a wrinkle in there. Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good seal. Let's see if we can get a better seal. That's gonna be tough. Alright, that's it. Let's see this one more time. Alright, we'll check that seal later. I think we're done. So, there we have it, our finished beef tenderloin. Grinding away. And come Christmas Day, we'll take this and throw it into the water with the immersion circulator and cook it to a perfect temperature, and then wrap it up in some duck salt and some puff pastry and bake that off. And that will be a fabulous Christmas dinner. All right, thank you very much.